Even that, and The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? The broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being
Canada, apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen, which means The View is very unhappy.
Tears are falling from the sidelines as the chaos unfolds, and when Whoopi Goldberg dares to open her mouth, only to crash straight into the dry, merciless sarcasm of Gutfeld and Tyrus. It's not just a disagreement, it's a spectacular implosion. One moment she's preaching like she's delivering the State of the Union. The next, she looks like she's mentally packing her bags for a long escape from public backlash. And here's the twist. It's not just her argument that collapses, it's her entire performance. What follows is less of a debate and more like a comedy crash scene caught in slow motion. Buckle up. This isn't your average daytime drama.
Day, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg, AKA Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and skiing. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
So cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough in the green room.
Daytime television's self-anointed queen of deep thoughts has returned to her throne, only to deliver another dizzying display of ego, confusion, and philosophical chaos dressed up as political commentary. Once again, she's turned a simple debate into a dramatic theater of contradictions and self-admiration, like a one-woman show in the universe's most baffling brain. But the real shock? This time, she wasn't even sparring with her co-hosts. She was intellectually shredded by people who weren't even on the set. This wasn't just criticism. It was an unintentional art piece for anyone lost in the fog of daytime logic.
BBC suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No, it's not about race.
No, it's about a different race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid. Even for the...
Exactly. If that doesn't scream crumbling legacy and theatrical downfall, then what does? Just look at any random episode of The View, where manufactured outrage is the default setting and facts are treated like decorations, not requirements. Whoopi took a monumental loss from both Tyrus and Gutfeld, and the most astonishing part, neither of them even stepped foot near her hallowed table of daytime dramatics. Her self-important fury, perched atop her chair like a prophet of televised delusion, made it seem as though someone had asked her to host a neighborhood bake sale in the name of decency, and she took it as a personal insult to her empire. Have a look.
The problem is that you have to go after the racist people, and if the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show, or man, that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day, that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Gutfeld and Tyrus unleashed one of their signature late night truth bombs. No glitter, no giggling chorus of yes men, just pure, unfiltered sarcasm wrapped in their signature dry punchlines. The kind that hit harder than Whoopi's morning coffee rant. Once again, someone dared to challenge her sacred worldview right after she spiraled into one of her theatrical, tear-stained monologues. This time claiming that democracy itself was under siege simply because people didn't agree with her latest feelings-driven lecture. Just another Tuesday in Whoopi world, where emotional speeches take the place of substance, and somewhere, far from her studio of clapping loyalists, the internet laughed back.
Today on The View, otherwise known as Hell's DMV, Whoopi Goldberg asked, how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban?
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women,
Right.
wants to defund organizations that benefit women, calling on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment based on religion. Are these values really much different than the Taliban's?
Wow. Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue. Guess they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump.
He didn't even have to name Whoopi directly. All it took was a jab at high-profile pundits who butcher Ukraine while demanding that everyone else become foreign policy scholars overnight. Then came Tyrus with a metaphor so brutal it crushed Whoopi's credibility like Thanos snapping his fingers. Except Tyrus looked like a WWE bouncer who accidentally wandered into a genius convention. And even though none of this played out live on The View, Whoopi acted as if logic itself had kicked down her dressing room door. She stared into the camera, puffed herself up, and huffed like she'd just found out Gutfeld wasn't the name of a seasoning. Her ego and insecurity erupted, and what followed wasn't just a meltdown, it was a slow motion unraveling. As always, Whoopi avoided actual debate and instead leaned into her dramatic flair, slow clapping like she deserved a medal for not storming off, before falling back on her favorite move, exaggerated exhaustion.
On The View, all right, talking about Latinos. Watch this, Tyrus.
Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the, no,
That's
it's on
why.
the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep.
So-
they were begging people to care about it for years. We
Misogyny
need to
and
take some
sexism.
lessons.
That's what that was.
Misogyny and sexism.
Sure, all that, and the price of butter. Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election.
Yes, that now iconic eye roll and slump posture is Whoopi's signature move, her classic attempt to appear above it all while clearly seething beneath the surface. But this time, the internet didn't let it slide. Twitter exploded with savage jokes. YouTube turned into a digital support group for those traumatized by daytime TV. Even Reddit, rarely unified, joined forces to mock her in glorious synchronicity. Her piercing stare into the camera practically begged to be slapped on a t-shirt, and let's be honest, it probably already is, selling next to countless viral memes and remix videos. And the truth is, this isn't some shocking new behavior. She's done this before. Twisting language to defend disgraced directors, blurring the line between political disagreement and violence, and acting like the sole guardian of what speech should or shouldn't be allowed. It's vintage Whoopi, self-righteous, deflective, and endlessly performative.
Oh no, nothing really comes to mind. I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, they instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game.
Whoopi's delivery drips with exaggerated confidence, cherry-picked outrage, and constant self-applause. Meanwhile, Tyrus and Greg didn't even have to try. They made more sense with one sarcastic glance than she did with an entire segment. Deep down, even she must know her hot takes have curdled faster than milk left out in the Arizona sun. But instead of pausing for reflection, she digs in deeper. On The View, loudness always seems to win over logic. And the ultimate irony? There she sits on a multi-million-dollar set sipping her decaf outrage like it's some noble form of empathy while insisting she speaks for everyday Americans. This wasn't some one-off moment either. Whoopi's had more public meltdowns than most cable hosts combined, scolding the nation while fumbling basic economics, flip-flopping like a fish gasping on the pavement, and mocking moderates like they're beneath her.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
When Greg Gutfeld delivered the facts and Tyrus tore gaping holes through the fiction, Whoopi's meltdown unfolded like a script we've all seen before. It began with her trademark smug smirk, followed by a monologue loaded with catchphrases and met with obedient applause from the studio audience. But by the end, it unraveled into total collapse. It's become almost ceremonial. Confronting her is treated like a national offense. Whoopi reacted with bruised ego, even though the criticism of celebrity disinformation wasn't aimed directly at her. Her entire vibe screamed, "How dare they? Don't they know who I am?" That was the mood, like she'd been personally betrayed by reality itself. It was textbook performative victimhood. Not just being wrong, but acting offended, as if being questioned was an act of cruelty. The real game? Turning every critique into a character attack and wearing it like a badge of courage. But real courage is admitting when you're completely out of your depth. And Whoopi? She's in a kiddie pool, pretending she's commanding a submarine.
Even that, in The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler? What's her name? Yeah, broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being...
Gutfeld knows exactly what he's doing. No shouting, no theatrics, just hammer-like punchlines that land with surgical precision. Tyrus, with his blood-draining metaphors, adds a quiet intensity that slices straight through the noise of Hollywood hysteria. They didn't launch a personal attack on Whoopi, they simply pointed out the absurdity of celebrity disinformation. But true to form, Whoopi took it as a direct assault and unraveled on live television like a melting wax figure of her own contradictions. This wasn't a debate, it was a swift takedown from a distance. And here's the kicker, she wasn't even the target, yet she jumped in, scrambling to reclaim the spotlight, acting as though the commentary had been crafted just to shake her throne. As always, her co-hosts rushed in to soothe her ego, offering lines like, "You're so brave, thank you for speaking up," and of course, "We love you."
Brains are small, but who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now, The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't.
At times, it felt less like a talk show and more like a televised group therapy circle for bruised egos. But the public wasn't fooled. Not America, not social media, and not even many of the show's longtime viewers. Because when every disagreement is painted as a personal attack and every critic is instantly dismissed as wicked, the drama stops being compelling, it becomes predictable. Just when you think the circus can't possibly grow more absurd, the hypocrisy vault swings wide open, and that's when it hits people. Maybe the show itself is the problem. It's become a showcase of contradictions so baffling, it deserves its own wing in the Museum of Cognitive Dissidence. Let's take a quick stroll through Whoopi's loud, erratic history, where she's mastered the art of saying one thing with bold conviction, only to contradict herself minutes later as if the past never happened. We'll start with one of her most baffling hits, her passionate defense of Mel Gibson. Yes, Mel Gibson, the man whose infamous hate-fueled rant scorched nearly half the planet. And Whoopi said he was just correct.
That makes Sonny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull. All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show?
When Mel Gibson was under fire for his hateful outbursts, Whoopi rushed to his defense, not because of facts, but because he'd once been nice to her. Fast forward to today, and she's suddenly delivering grand lectures on white privilege, presenting herself like some kind of woke Dalai Lama. Except, apparently, racism disappears as long as her celebrity friends are in the room. She champions cancel culture until it turns on her. Then she transforms into a glammed up version of Rosa Parks, claiming injustice while seated comfortably comfortably in a Hollywood dressing room. Greg Gutfeld dissected her logic with the precision of a sarcastic biology teacher cutting open a frog, labeling The View a cult of grievance wrapped in a bathrobe of delusion. And outside the Manhattan bubble, the crowd roared. Her reaction? Yet another robotic accusation of right-wing hatred, like a broken jukebox that can only play the victim song. Then came Tyrus, delivering the final blow. This wasn't a debate, it was a mercy ending for bad arguments. She looked stunned, like she'd lost a fight she didn't even know she was in. And yes, she'll be back with another reality-detached opinion. But as for Tyrus and Greg, they'll keep winning effortlessly, because the real story isn't Whoopi's latest collapse, it's that plain old reason is all it takes to knock her down.